Welcome to episode 132 of the VR Workforce Studio podcast. This one is special.
That's right, Rick. Today we have the pleasure of honoring a man who has shaped the direction of vocational rehabilitation across the country, Steve Wooderson, who is retiring after more than 4 decades of service, including nearly 15 years as CEO of CSAVR.
Yes, his leadership has been instrumental in lifting up the stories of vocational rehabilitation, championing innovation, and guiding this field into the future.
And in fact, more than 10 years ago, over a dinner at a CSAVR event, Steve offered an idea that would spark the launch of this very podcast. And he understood the power of storytelling. He believed that sharing the real experiences of VR clients and professionals could move hearts and minds. And he was right.
Absolutely. Today, that vision continues to evolve. Not only are we producing audio and video shows, but we've welcomed our new AI-powered co-host, Sage Wilson. We'll hear from her a little bit later. She has a crush on Steve, by the way, helping scale our impact and reach across platforms that in the past we could have only dreamed of. So, Steve, welcome to the show that your vision helped create.
Yes, Steve, welcome. That's a big build-up for you. But after such a long and impactful career, how are you feeling about this next chapter?
Well, first of all, thanks for the really kind words and how you guys are impacting the VR profession through your storytelling. And I appreciate you calling this transition a chapter and not an epilogue. But it really is a bag of emotions. It's exciting, it's frightening, it's comforting, it's invigorating, but mostly joyful. And it is time to focus on family, on well-being, and I really do look forward to just a little bit different pace than I've been used to.
Yeah. When you look back at your tenure with CSAVR, what are some of the key milestones that stand out to you?
You know, Rick, there's so many. I think the two that first come to mind. The first is ramping up what became the amendments to the Rehabilitation Act by way of the 2014 Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, WIOA. The CSA membership, the leadership, the directors, the staff, doggone, they worked tirelessly to advocate for so many provisions. Many were ultimately included in the legislation. And something that may be somewhat opaque to some, for me, I'm really proud of the efforts of our leadership and staff who made great strides to acknowledge the 100-year anniversary of the public program during my tenure through our Vision 2020 initiative. So, not only did it bring national recognition to the program, but it really served as a time for us and the industry to be reminded of the progress made over the last 100 years and to celebrate those accomplishments.
Well, as you said, you've seen vocational rehabilitation evolve tremendously over these years. What do you believe are some of the most meaningful changes in VR that we've all witnessed?
That's one of those questions that for somebody 45 years in the business, there are, again, a number of those, right? I know this isn't specific to VR, but I go back to the day that we wrote employment plans with a piece of carbon paper between pages so that we have a second file copy. So, that's crazy when you think back. But
what
really, moving to the empowerment of individual customers to develop their own employment plan. So look at the swing from when I really began in the business. But with going back, Betsy, to your keyword, meaningful, the concept of moving away from a medical to a customer-driven model really captures, I think, the essence of that continuous evolution, improvement. That mindset spurred so many things: independent living movement, the community-based services, supported customized employment. And related is bringing light to business being an equal partner in this process. After all, end goal for all that we serve is competitive integrated employment. So we've got to really understand the needs of the marketplace, the talent needed by employers, and how we go about filling their pipeline. So having that emerging awareness of them as a dual customer has really been a tremendous step in our industry.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Jim Rohn, and he talks about journaling and gathering up life's lessons as we go along. You have, more than anyone I know, been able to do that from this incredible vantage point of leading really the premier organization that represents us all. So I've really got to put you on the spot here. In this brief time, what lessons have we learned in the field, and what do you most want to communicate to our future leaders moving forward?
I didn't fully appreciate early in my career the idea of nothing without us. And I began to really appreciate that more and more as I began serving individuals, nothing about us without us, and understanding what that really meant, moving from service to policy development, to public advocacy, to legislation. In order for us to be able to really fully do the work that we're about, our disability community must be fully engaged in all that we do. Mm-hmm. And then secondly, looking forward, developing and deploying critical thinking skills. This isn't just about VR when I say that. That's about us as human beings on this planet, right? Mm-hmm. Being able to ponder and ask why, find that factual root issue for problems and challenges, and then work towards solutions that address those root issues. So those are two things that just kind of permeate all that I'm about right now as you think about lessons learned and looking forward.
Certainly, words of wisdom.
Yes, absolutely. And you've always supported innovation and growth. So what excites you or concerns you about the road ahead for VR?
Let me first say, I am excited for the future of the program. I think that we've made incredible strides to address those issues that really came to light during the period of the pandemic, and have worked diligently to really focus on that continuous quality improvement. At the same time, there is a tremendous amount of noise in our environment right now, and often that can be a distraction from our efforts towards that continuous improvement. So sometimes it becomes so loud and so distracting that we think we have to be so incredibly different and creative to come up with a plan to move forward. Well, I want to just kind of encourage us to first understand that doing good things for good reasons, that is that first step to innovation and growth. Short of that, we find ourselves falling into a bunker mentality, which oftentimes actually becomes a step back. Right. I really believe growth comes from celebrating good. It inspires better. It launches creativity, and that opens a way to innovation. So the best way to prepare the way for the future is really simply doing good today.
Yeah. You are our champion, our national leader for storytelling, and you've been with us in this podcast every step of the way. You have encouraged us to create that human connection. Why was storytelling so important to you and your message to the nation?
Well, Rick, you know this about me. My daddy was a preacher.
All right.
I got to give him a little credit. I still stand in awe of how he was able to paint a story with words. It brought it alive. It brought emotion. It brought an appreciation and understanding. So I got to give him a little bit of credit for maybe instilling that in me. For us in this industry, or really any industry, to really truly communicate that value proposition. And for us, that means being able to answer the question of why is VR so important? It could really be only told by those who have benefited from our services. It brings life to those data points, those compliance reviews, those performance measures, the return on investment, all that stuff. And it pulls into one simple personal experience that we all can understand and see through the eyes of those that we serve.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Very, very true to our our industry. Well, Steve, thanks you to your support all these years of the podcast. As we've grown, you've supported us when CSAVR went online through digital outreach. What advice do you have for us as we continue exploring platforms like AI and video to engage with the public?
Let me remind you, I started handwriting plans with carbon paper. You know, so
Machines
so
that you
did I.
roll.
just keep that in mind when you ask me about these kinds of
Right.
opportunities for the future. But it's a good question, and it's one that I think needs to be pondered day in, day out. I still read the local paper every morning. I like getting that ink on my fingers, you know.
Mhm.
I typically take time to scan my bookmarked network news websites during the day. I have 3 daughters. They don't take the local paper. They don't watch national local news. They scroll through their phones, even during dinner, which I'm going to break them of that one of these days. I'm not sure when that'll happen, but I'm going to get to that at some point.
Good luck.
Yeah. I have 3 granddaughters,
Mhm.
and they watch those, I don't even know what you call them, those 30-second, 2-minute videos, you know, day and day on, and just keep, it's all that they do sometimes. It drives me
Right.
nuts. But recognizing I just identified 3 generations, right?
Mhm.
With the differences in how we consume external information and really relate to our universe, how can we do anything different than explore every avenue to engage all segments of our communities? I can barely spell AI, but I can say that the future of our program really demands assertive efforts to tell our story in order to outreach to those first of all can benefit from our services, individuals and businesses, but also informing key leaders and decision makers on the return on investment in the VR program.
Right, absolutely. As you look back over 4 decades plus in this business, what one story, what moment or memory from your career truly embodies vocational rehabilitation? It's left that impression with you that you'll carry into the next chapter of Steve Wooderson.
Next chapter. Thank you. Um, Rick, early in my time with CSAVR, partnered with the U.S. Forest Service in Wisconsin, their regional office. The local education folks were working with them to provide work-based opportunities for students transitioning from school to work. The regional Forest Service office hosted a reception, celebration, benchmarking the work that had been done. And it was at an incredible location. Just imagine being on the banks of Lake Michigan, beautiful,
Wow.
open scenery, just a grand and glorious setting. They had local elected officials there. They had regional and local Forest Service executives. They had local and state education administrators, along with our VR staff at the state and local level. And most importantly, a number of graduates of the program who had gone on to become employed full-time by the Forest Service. So there were a lot of suits, right? A lot of suits, lots of finger food, lots of drinks, a real celebration. So the suits got up to talk, right? Typical words of appreciation for partnership and encouragement to continue the program. I was the last suit to speak, and the MC just asked us to kind of take a step back, and we were lined up a couple of paces behind the podium, and unscripted, the MC asked if any of the graduates had anything to say. Wasn't on the program. Again,
Smart
unscripted.
move.
Yeah. There was that moment of really uncomfortable silence, like maybe he shouldn't have died because nobody was stepping up, right? But there was this one really courageous young man, and I wish I could remember his name. Let's say Andrew, okay? And Andrew raised his hand, just like he was still in the classroom. It was just up, he was so enthusiastic. Andrew was dressed in a U.S. Forest Service green uniform. We've seen him, right? You know exactly what I'm talking
Right.
about.
I absolutely.
Right. He was wearing one that was kind of a duffel bag press look. It was wrinkled. It might not have even been laundered recently. I don't know. He had dark rimmed, thick glasses. The MC invited him to the podium. He kind of lumbered up, and he stood behind a kind of rickety, single-legged podium, right? And he grabs either sides of it, kind of like you hold on to the horns of a steer. He started to rock back and forth, and I was only a couple of paces. I actually found myself kind of leaning, thinking I might have to catch him as he fell back, right? But Andrew, he threw his shoulders back, got his feet under him. He reached up, he took off his thick glasses and put them down on the podium. And he stood tall and he scanned the audience. And I knew that his VR counselor that served him was there. And he found himself making eye contact with her. Patty Johnson's her name.
Okay.
Rick, Betsy, Andrew was the most articulate of all the suits that day. In one sentence, he said,
Wow.
"Thank you, Miss Patty. You changed my life."
Wow.
That sums it up. Sums it up so
That's
beautifully.
Yeah.
what VR is about. Changing
That
lives.
is awesome.
Thank you.
Well,
Absolutely.
one of our team members who has a lot of fascination with Steve Wooderson is standing by. Sage, I think you had some comments.
Steve, I may be a digital creation, but I'm here because of your very real leadership. Your support of storytelling and vision for innovation has helped shape this new frontier in VR communication. From all of us in the virtual world, thank you for believing in what could be.
Thank you, Sage. And it's so good to see her again. I love it.
Oh, we love Sage. We do indeed. Well, Steve, from all of us in the VR community, thank you for your service, your insight, your belief in the power of people and progress. As we look into the future, we do so standing on the shoulders of giants. And you, Steve Wooderson, are one of the tallest among them. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you much.